Her thoughts were disconnected. She talked a mile a minute. She'd say, "I'm coming home for Thanksgiving." Then the next, she was saying she's in the Matrix. She had no history of mental illness. So the next question would be, does her family have a history of mental illness? Erin Valenti was a highly accomplished 33-year-old CEO of a tech company called Tinker, which develops websites and smartphone apps. She was known for being very smart and kind. She worked as a volunteer to fight human trafficking with a great sense of humor and a successful career. Originally from Fairport, New York, she resided with her husband in Salt Lake City, Utah. And this is why this story originally interested me, because I am from Salt Lake and I used to be in the tech sphere, tech bubble. Her company, with 120 employees, mainly in Pakistan, designed, developed, and scaled technology products built for iOS, Android, and the web. Tinker built over 700 products, including mobile apps, SaaS applications, tech-enabled marketplaces, and consumer websites for Facebook, Skullcandy, Live Nation, Pearson, Metro PCS, and emerging startups. Before founding Tinker, she was director of product development at Overstock.com. That's another local company here in Utah. I'm sure you know what Overstock is. It's an online platform for selling goods, overstocked goods. Presumably it still is. There's a story about the CEO who kind of lost his mind too. I don't know if he lost his mind, but he ended up getting pushed out. Where are we at? Before founding Tinker, she was director of product development at Overstock.com, supervising a team of 250 engineers. Her company website linked to Control Labs, Thomas Reardon's Neuroscience and Behavior Center. Control Labs assembled scientists and technologists like PhDs in computational neuroscience, biomechanics paired with hackers and coders, experts in signal processing, machine learning, and human-computer interaction. It sounds like a bit of a Neuralink type company. Valenti had no history of mental health disorders or substance abuse. And I found this interesting, having no history of mental health disorders. Substance abuse thing, that's not really that interesting. I want to know if she had used substances before going to California and losing her mind, because I could totally see taking some wild stuff there and not knowing how to properly handle it. Scott Rafferty, a Utah entrepreneur, told Business Insider that Valenti spoke of quitting her $1 million business but never meant it. She told him she felt responsible for the welfare of more than 130 engineers and their families on the other side of the world. She also planned to finance a startup accelerator inside her company and start a clothing line for professional women. In late summer, Valenti spoke to Rafferty about wanting an executive coach. Rafferty's coach was about to hold a retreat in California. On October 1st, 2019, Valenti flew from Salt Lake City to California to attend a 3-day seminar called Create Powerful. The seminar was held in Laguna Niguel. I don't know how to say that.
Laguna Niguel.
The seminar was held in Laguna Niguel, a beach town, and was designed to help business owners grow personally and professionally. The seminar was an intense, immersive experience that helped people connect with their personal power and overcome fears. Sounds like a ripoff. It cost $6,500 and promised to change participants' lives. After the seminar, Valenti flew to the Bay Area on October 3rd to attend a 2-day conference in Monterey for tech founders and investors. Why don't you start your own conference? That's what these conferences drive me crazy, man. When you're super rich, got a bunch of money, got everything you need, where do you spend it? Going to places, meeting people, because you can't go out and make friends yourself. Erin Valenti, last words, we're in the Matrix. Valenti is believed to have been last seen by Dean Jacobson, a former manager of hers at Summit Partners in Palo Alto, on Monday, October 7th in the afternoon. After the seminar, Valenti called her parents and said she couldn't find her rental car, a gray Nissan Murano. Later, she found the car and started driving to the airport, but her parents noticed she sounded manic and confused on the phone. She talked about Thanksgiving plans but wasn't making sense and spoke fast and erratically. Side note, I've had my run-ins with people who run these type of seminars where they'll give you some sort of product that'll help open. It's usually non-FDA approved bullcrap stuff. And some friend of theirs has this product. Try it out. Oh, and I've actually gotten into some issues. I've ended up reporting people like this because they're giving these products to people who, one, we don't know what's in the products, and two, the people that everybody's brain chemistry is different. The same meds don't do the same things for this everybody, and so by just giving this medication to a whole group of 100 people in some room, you're creating so many, even if it's just vitamins, you're creating so many potential issues by just doing that, just shotgunning and sending out all of these bullcrap medications to give to people that'll open up your mind or whatever, $50 bottles of some bullshit multivitamin. Valenti also mentioned that she had refueled the car just 10 minutes prior, but now it was running out of gas, and she exclaimed, "I'm going to miss my flight." Her mother became concerned and called Valenti's husband, Harrison Weinstein, and asked him to contact her immediately. For the next few hours, Valenti's family took turns speaking with her on the phone, trying to calm her down and understand what was going on. However, Valenti continued to be agitated and disconnected. At one point, she said something strange. "It's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the Matrix." I don't necessarily disagree with her, but what are you going to do about it? If we're in the Matrix, we're in the Matrix. It's like, if we're not in the honestly, if we're not in the Matrix, or if we're not in a simulation, that to me is more crazy. That to me is more radical. I think that because most of us are born, raised in religion, raised with the idea that this is base reality, that we're not a simulation, that the idea that we're in a simulation seems weird to us. If we were told nothing, we weren't raised with any preconceived notions, the idea of not being in some sort of simulation is much more wild to me. This statement further concerned her family, who didn't know what to make of it. They continued to talk to her until almost midnight, trying to help her calm down and make sense of her situation. Matrix is a mathematical term used in the movie. The Matrix to illustrate the code used to make up simulated reality. What is the Matrix? It is a world created by computers built to control and transform humans. To what end? To what end? Now, when I say Matrix, I don't mean the complexity of the Matrix. I don't think we're powering a bunch of robots. We're not batteries. That's not what I mean. I mean that, like in the Matrix, we are in a simulation. I'm not losing my mind over it. According to reports, Valenti asked her mother, "Are you in on it?" Her mother, a retired nurse, asked if she was drunk, had taken any drugs, my assumption is she was, or had somebody given her something. Valenti responded no. Weinstein also asked the police to conduct a welfare check. According to the family, the police called Valenti on the phone, and she told an officer she was just joking around. The phone appeared to have died at some point, and calls went to voicemail. On Saturday, October 12th, a volunteer found Valenti's rental car parked a few blocks from where her phone was last located, on the 6500 block of Boise Lane, a residential street near the San Jose airport. Looking inside, the volunteer discovered Valenti's body in the back seat. An investigation by San Jose police found no evidence of foul play, authorities said. There were no outward signs of trauma or physical harm. Did they do a toxicology report? Blood tests were negative for common prescription drugs and other substances. Her parents spoke to the media and said they believed she had suffered some kind of manic episode. Her thoughts were disconnected. She talked a mile a minute. She'd say, "I'm coming home for Thanksgiving." Then the next, she was saying she's in the Matrix, her mom, Whitney Valenti, said. Valenti's husband said she had no history of mental illness. So the next question would be, does her family have a history of mental illness? Did her grandfather have, was he a schizophrenic? Was her grandmother, was the great-great, were uncles? Is there a family history of mental illnesses? That would be my next question. There's never any history of anything like this. No mental health diagnosis, no hospitalization, no substance use, no arrests. As clear of a record as you can get. This is incredibly unlike her. She's extremely high-achieving, successful person, he said. My next question would be then, what is her religious upbringing? I want to know what type of brain we're dealing with. If you grow up believing one thing is true, and then I've seen this before, people in my own life, they believe something that's true, And then when they're an adult, they suddenly question it, and they question it way too fast, and they can't handle it. So that would be my next question. Now we have a tweet that says, "Scene where the body of missing tech exec Erin Valenti has been found in San Jose. A group of distraught onlookers can be seen inside the crime scene tape." Yeah, that's kind of sad. It took months for the autopsy report. The San Jose Medical Examiner's Office autopsy report determined she died of sudden death in the setting of an acute manic episode. What? What does that even mean? Sudden death in an acute manic episode. So she had a stroke? Though the report did not explain what killed her, other than she died of natural causes. A manic episode characterized by feelings of euphoria, racing thoughts, and feelings of connectedness is typically followed by a period of depression or irritability. But there were no drugs found in her body, apparently. Like she didn't kill herself by taking a bunch of ibuprofen or Tylenol or whatever that she could take. This is weird. Her just randomly dying is really strange. Valenti had a previous diagnosis of a thyroid condition treated with medication. The autopsy report noted that her condition could have contributed to her death. Blood samples, however, were not satisfactory for analysis. A police review of Valenti's electronic communications in the days before her scheduled return showed symptoms of a manic episode, according to San Jose Medical Examiner's Office. Authorities also said a review of her medical records suggests that the etiology of her final manic episode was related to an emerging, previously undiagnosed psychiatric disorder. Okay, perhaps there's a family history, but they aren't talking about that for privacy reasons. A healthy 33-year-old woman who was a successful tech CEO with no history of mental illness attended an intense course meant to change her life and help her manage fear. After telling her family she was excited to return home, she suddenly experienced a mental breakdown while driving to the airport. She went missing for days and was later found dead in her car, which was parked on a street where searchers had previously looked. There are questions about what happened, whether the course triggered her breakdown, whether brain-machine interfaces were involved, or if she died from a sudden onset of mental illness, as the autopsy suggests. I don't understand. What do you mean you just die suddenly of a mental illness? I've never even heard of that. Even if you die of a mental illness, you have to still do something to cause the death. Like, you can blame depression or a manic episode, but you still have to jump out a window or crash your car into a median or drive off the road. Notably, why did Valenti continue to mention in her last phone call that this was a thought experiment and that we are all living in a matrix? Surprisingly, there are current-day scholars who do believe that the world is simulated. I don't see why that's surprising. In fact, humans have been trying to create a simulated world since long ago. If it is possible that humans could eventually create a simulated world, then how can we be sure that we are not already living in one? Professor Nick Bostrom, I believe he's the author of Superintelligence, from Oxford University, who proposed a simulation hypothesis in 2003. He is not the first one to propose that, though. I don't know. It's so funny. NASA's physicist Thomas Campbell also said he believes the world is definitely simulated, and even Einstein once said reality is merely an illusion. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, once said there's a 1 in a billion chance we're in base reality. Of course, even that number's made up. Why are the leading figures of society making such absurd arguments? Are they suspecting and questioning that perhaps we have never lived in a real world? Again, it doesn't matter. Why does it matter? I think, therefore I am. Whether or not we're simulated or not doesn't change our experience. People lose their minds over that. It's just so funny. Consider the following story. About 2,300 years ago, Shuangzi. About 2,300 years ago, Shuangzi, a renowned Chinese philosopher, entered into a dream and became a butterfly. Who gives a shit? You know how many dreams I've had that make no sense? Do I need to read this paragraph? He became a beautiful butterfly. If what the above scientists stated is true, then could it be possible that we are actually living in a simulated world? The only question is, does it matter? No. The only question is, if one day you were given a choice, would you choose to learn the truth? Oh, brother. Would I choose to learn? Sure. Would it matter? No, it wouldn't change anything. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name's Jake Day. This is Jake Knight. And if you want to like the video, please do that. If you want to if you want to subscribe to this weird ass channel where we talk about weird ass shit like this, go ahead and do that. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.